to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Dadia. We have with us Mr. Bimal Thakkar, Chairman, MD, and CEO at ADF Foods, joining in. Welcome to the show, Bimal, and a pleasure to speak to you and get insights from you. Bimal, overall, when layman hears of ADF Foods, no one really associates it as to what is the company about, what are the brands they do, till they really come back to the stores and they realize, okay, these are the brands that actually belong to ADF, and that's where the reconnection happens. The space has really picked up, as you just mentioned when we were talking offline, that internationally the space has always been growing. Domestic market, it's picked up now. How would you actually describe the business over the last 18 to 24 months?
So thanks for having me in the show here. So the last 2 years have had its challenges. I mean, the initial lockdown, when it happened, the first 3 months, our factories were barely working. We couldn't get workers to come on board. So it had its challenges. Supply chain issues have been there, but demand for our products has been growing. I mean, our business, 99% is international. Packaged foods is a way of life for the consumers there. And the lockdown has given some kind of extra boost in home consumption because people couldn't go out and go out on holidays or go out to restaurants. So that did help in increasing home consumption. So it's been pretty good. Margins have been under pressure in this last 12 months because of the freight cost increases. Now with this war with Ukraine, commodity prices have gone up. So there have been some pressures on margin, but we've been trying to mitigate it with trying to save on costs, better product mix, selling more higher margin items. We've been able to take price increases. So we are trying to mitigate it through all these measures.
Right. So overall, if you see in terms of the business mix as well, I think 80% of our revenues come in from the processed food business, whereas 20% of our revenues come in from the distribution side. So is it that in terms of distribution, it's only our products, or do we have distribution with other synergistic products as well, which offer a wider basket?
So, the distribution business is a vertical we've started about 3 years ago now. What we do in that is we take on complementary product distribution, right? So we are agents for Unilever's specialty teas, which cater to the ethnic Indian diaspora. Okay, so it helps us. We are going to the same outlets, so it helps reduce our selling costs. They are complementary. There is no conflict. It gives us more power with the retailer. So that's a new vertical which we started, which has done very well for us and continues to grow. Our own products, in any case, what we've started doing now is we've got 2 warehouses in the US. US for us is one of our largest markets. So we started direct distribution, which means moving up the value chain, going directly to the retailer. So US was the first market we started with. We have 2 warehouses there, which it's been now, we started September of last year. And that has really helped us increase our presence within the stores, and there's better focus in selling our products. So we plan to replicate this model, and in the US in the next 2 years, we hope to have another 4 more distribution centers where we'll be going directly to the retailers ourselves and having better control over our distribution.
Right. So overall, if you see in terms of the distribution business, now that it's 20% of the revenues, by how much are you expecting it to contribute to revenues over the next 2 to 3 years?
So, our focus will obviously be our own brands. Those continue to grow for us. Our product range continues to increase. But in the next 3 years, I would say anywhere between 20 to 30% is where we will see the distribution business, as the overall business will continue to grow. We will take on some more brands, which are, again, complementary, not conflicting. But we expect overall this other vertical to be at about 30% maximum, compared to 70% will be our own products always.
Right. And overall, in terms of where manufacturing goes, what's our current capacity and the capacity utilization?
So, we are in multiple products. So some products we are at full capacity, where we are increasing capacity. So we've got CapEx planned of about over the next 2.5 years of about 70 to 80 crores CapEx plan. We've acquired land for a greenfield project, which we've not started work on because we are currently debottlenecking within our existing plant, increasing capacities there. And in the next 3 to 4 months, we'll start work on our greenfield project as well. So we are increasing capacities within the existing plants and also greenfield project as well.
Okay. And overall, if you see in terms of what's the utilization currently?
So I would say we'd be at about close to 70%, I would say.
Okay.
In some lines, we are already at full, which is where we are increasing capacity. Some lines, we have spare capacity. So on a weighted average, I would say close to 70% at the moment.
Okay. And in terms of the product mix as well, what bouquet is the one which contributes the maximum to our revenue? Say, if you have to divide it between the frozen products, the food accompaniments, spices, or the ready to eat and ready to cook, as well as the Mexican product range.
So for us, the meal accompaniments and the frozen food, these two probably contribute around 60% of our total revenues. And then the ready to eat, frozen food, ready to eat, all come together under that one category. So about 65 to 70% comes from these two categories.
Okay. And are we expecting a change on that front, taking into consideration that you are looking at a better product mix with higher margin products in terms of sales as well?
So within this category itself, we'll be developing more products with higher margins and higher product mix. These are the categories which are growing for us. So a lot of new products are being added within this category. So that's how we will be looking at improvising on our margins.
Right. And overall, if you see, in a space like this, marketing advertising is something which is absolutely key. So currently, what percentage of our revenues are we spending towards M&A and even in terms of the distribution costs? And secondly, do you think that is something which could be bumped up in the coming quarters?
So, we've just been last year under this PLI scheme, our company has received close to 63 crores from the government to be spent within the next 5 years. What that does is that's going to help us bump up more of our marketing and advertising spend. And at the moment, before this PLI scheme, we were spending about 8 to 9 crores on the marketing. And now we will be spending double that from this year onwards.
Right. So around 16 to 20 crores is the kind of spends that we would be looking at.
Correct.
Okay. And apart from that, if you see in terms of the geographical expansion as well, majority of our sales come through exports. Domestic is now picking up. So are you expecting that concentration in the domestic market to increase? And if yes, over the next 3 years, where do we see it?
So, we are just entering India. We plan to launch products in July this year. And what we are planning to do is start off with e-commerce. Okay, so we've got a brand Soul, which is for the Indian market, which is going to be launched on e-commerce platform. I think over the next 3 years, we would probably see it'll be under 10% over the next 3 years in terms of our overall contribution. We will start with e-commerce and then build out towards modern trade and then general trade. So next 3 years, I think the first year will be more focused just on building out the e-commerce platform, and then second, third year onwards, we'd start seeing some traction. So I would say under 10% would be India for us, unless we look at some kind of, if we get some opportunity for inorganic growth in India, then that might increase suddenly.
Right. And in terms of inorganic growth, what are the segments that we are looking at? Because purely if we see, we are mainly in the food segment. So is there anything where we would be looking at the non-food segment as well from a beverage perspective?
So, our focus would be within our current, complementary products. So beverage can be part of it, but it again depends what kind of beverage, right? It has to be more ethnic in nature. So we wouldn't look at carbonated drinks, for example. What we would like to look at, so we already have some beverages which we are selling in the international market. So we do badam milk in cans, which we are doing. So we've entered that space in that sense. But our focus would be more on the food products, which are complementary to our current product range.
Right. And in terms of sales opportunities as well, B2C is something which is starting off, developing in terms of India. How is the B2B side of business looking like?
So, if I look at our international business, so B2B in India, for example, let me tell you, we've just started this new initiative where we are looking at being suppliers to a lot of these, the cloud kitchens and QSRs. Okay, so we've just had our first break in India, where we're going to be supplying some frozen breads to one of the leading chains in India. In fact, it's just been this month that we've started that business. So we see the QSR space growing, and we want to be part of that for the Indian market and even for the international market. So that part we are growing. And then internationally, we have B2B business already, which we are doing, where we supply a lot of our products in finished, in bulk packing, where it's then just repacked in the UK or in the US in consumer packs. So that part of B2B business internationally, we are already doing, which is, it's not very big. It's about 10% of our revenues, but that's something which we've been doing for quite some time. But India, the QSR space is something which is a new vertical which we've started.
Right. And overall, Bimal, in terms of the growth strategy from here on, taking all of the points that we discussed into consideration, what is the kind of growth that we are looking to achieve over the next 3 to 5 years? Or I would say, what are the next milestones that we are looking at?
So, what we have internally set a goal for ourselves is in the next 3 years, we should try and get to at least double of our size, which will include organic and inorganic growth, both. So that's the kind of, so we hope to be at least in the next 3 years, close to a 850 to 900 crore top line company. That's what our ambition is.
Okay. And to do this as well, is the strategy going to be what we're doing currently, or are we looking at something else beyond the current scope of work?
No, so we will look at inorganic growth for sure. We will need that to grow this business. What we are going to do in terms of, as I mentioned to you, over the next 2 years, we want to open up another 4 more distribution centers, which will help us grow our business more, have better control over our supply chain. India as a market is something which we will be starting off, as I mentioned, and the QSR business. These are all going to be our growth levers helping us to get to this. And of course, new product innovation, those are things which will continue to happen for us.
Right. So overall, I think a good space to be in as well, with a good growth story that we're looking at with the ADF Foods, and taking India as a market into consideration as well. I think there's space for everyone, taking the demography into consideration, and this is a consumption market that one should be in as well. Thank you, Bimal, so much for joining us on the show. A pleasure to speak to you. Congratulations once again for the achievement that we've seen so far, and good luck for the coming years.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
having me here. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for in-depth interviews of India Inc. and press the bell icon so that you do not miss our updates.